Thank you for joining for today's session with App Annie, Coda, and Quali. So we're super excited to be at the Hyper Casual Gaming Conference. And yeah, for today's session, we're gonna dive into like what to expect for Hyper Casual in 2021. We're gonna have a quick overview of the market in the beginning, and then we're gonna ask a ton of questions to these guys. Yeah, I think it's gonna be quite interesting session. So diving into the product side, or just as I have to show this page as a quick disclaimer, that App Annie is not a financial advisor to invest and things like that. But moving into the good part, so quick intro on App Annie. If you guys don't know, we are the mobile performance standard. So we've been on the market for 10 plus years, and we help our customers to basically navigate the mobile space and create memorable experiences for their users. And we work with many different customers, including the Quali and Coda, who's joining us today. So the team you have today, so myself, my name is Tato. I've been with App Annie for 4 years. I'm the account manager and kind of gaming lead. And we also have Jake. I'll let you intro yourself.
Hey, so I'm Jake. I'm a senior publishing manager at Quali, where I'm working closely with developers and the publishing team there to test, scale, and provide insight and design expertise throughout every stage of the process and scale up games to make some hits.
Cool. And then we have Ozan.
Hello guys, I'm Ozan. Since 2 years in the industry, started with monetization. Currently, I'm leading the publishing team here at Coda platform. We work with various developers from all around the world, trying to make great games out of great ideas.
Cool, awesome. Yeah, so jumping to the quick overview, so of the gaming space. Obviously, 2020 was a crazy year for the gaming. Despite the pandemic, it was actually one of the best years for gaming. And the projection that we have for 2021 is even better. So we're looking at 120 billion in consumer spend in 2021 for the gaming, which is going to be a crazy growth. As well as huge increase on the mobile ad spend, which is obviously the main monetization mechanic for the hyper casual games as well. So you see that in 2020 was 240 billion and going to be reaching 290 billion for 2021. Also, very interesting milestone in Q1 of 2021 in terms of downloads, as gamers downloaded 1 billion games each week in Q1 2021. So this is still a very much growing market. And yeah, I think Q2, Q3, Q4 is going to be even better. As you can see, 35% growth quarter on quarter. And yeah, if you look at the top games from all pillars of downloads, consumer spend, monthly active users, you can clearly see that downloads are dominated by hyper casual games. 6 out of top 10 were hyper casual games. So yeah, definitely a great vertical of gaming to be in. Diving slightly deeper into hyper casual, looking into specific genres or subgenres of hyper casual games, thanks to our Game IQ product, we can see that actually simulation, runner racing, and puzzle trivia were the top 3 biggest hyper casual subgenres in Q1 2021, and you can see the growth that they had compared to last year. So definitely a very, very interesting, and especially highlighting simulation subgenre grew 195% year over year. And these are some of the top subgenres and some of the top games that kind of are presented within that subgenres of hyper casual. Moving on, looking at Q1 2021, these were the top 10 hyper casual games by worldwide downloads, and basically runner racing games dominated the charts, as the most of them were runner racing subgenres. And then these are the top markets, right? So I guess nothing too much surprising. US being the second biggest market, and India being by far the biggest market already for the downloads in Q1 2021, and then followed by Latin markets such as Brazil, Mexico, and Russia being another huge market for hyper casual games. This is something that I want to look into, looking at the launch strategies for hyper casual games, as we see that maybe in the early days of hyper casuals, the games would come out, and within 2 weeks or 3 weeks they start to decline and drop off, and there was no longevity. As you can see, these days there's more longevity to hyper casual games. They're maintained over the 2, 3, 4 months, as you can see, and you can compare it to the 2019. And the difference that we saw is that basically top games were picking up more in the month 3 for 2020, sorry, versus 2019. They would go higher up in the month 4. And then another interesting one is looking at how many new games were some of the top publishers launching each month, right? And we saw that on average, there's a minimum of 2 titles that are coming out each month in 2020. Obviously, there's some outliers, such as Lion Studios, who had a huge launch month in September, launching 12 titles. And then looking at the success rate, if you will, or portfolio success of how many of those games are actually achieving 1 million download milestone versus 5 million download milestone. And you can see that pretty much half of the new games that are launched by these publishers, they're reaching at least 5 million downloads, which is very high success rate, let's put it that way. But majority of them obviously crossing 1 million mark. It's super easy for hyper casual games to cross that mark. Cool. With that, we're gonna finalize the deck and jump into the questions. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and we can directly go into questions. Cool. So once again, guys, thank you very much for joining. The first question I have is really straightforward. How has the hyper casual gaming space changed since you guys came to the scene? So Ozan, maybe we can start with you, and Jake, we can continue.
Sure. I would love to. Thank you. So basically what we are currently experiencing on the market is that it is evolving itself to a more sophisticated phase. As we know, your charts showed beautifully that the financial backbone is quite strong. And with that, the competition is quite strong. And that goes in, vertically from developer quality to publishers' capabilities in both ways. But I think competition and short cycle games, that's one of the main trends for now.
Cool.
Definitely. There's definitely a lot more competition on the market now than when Quali got into the space and when I joined Quali. But it's kind of exciting. It drives a lot of innovation, a lot of creativity among developers. It's quite exciting to see like the level of execution, even in the early stages from developers, just going up and up and up. And that trend of like the quality of these games and like the visual fidelity just increasing.
Cool. Yeah, definitely a lot more competition is something that we are definitely observing as well. And then looking into 2020, obviously it was a challenging year from many different aspects, but also one of the best years for gaming space. So how did that impact you guys, or impact the Coda and Quali? So Jake, if you can start from your perspective.
Yeah, of course. So we still saw strong downloads and strong engagement with games, and an increase in engagement with quite a lot of games. And like you can kind of lean into that, and you can see trends where publishers have lent into that with games that they've released that have a longer tail, like these kind of hybrid casual games that have more content to keep people engaged and make the most of the time that people have available to them now, because there is ultimately more time available to players, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about you, Ozan?
Well, from our perspective, quite similar. Also, we count ourselves lucky that we started quite strong into the new year with a hit, real drive, and since then we're maintaining a decent position. Also, several other titles could be kept alive during the COVID phase and even now. Quite looking optimistic into the future in that front.
Okay, cool. And did 2020 kind of, I know that we were chit-chatting with Ozan beforehand, kind of looking at the Asian market as well and things like that. So did 2020 kind of open up the new opportunities for you guys to look into different markets that you could explore?
Yeah, definitely. If I may take this,
Yeah.
definitely. As we said, competition drives us to be to have newer ideas, to have more innovations, and that shows in those fronts as well. So one innovation is obviously how can you shape your UA strategy? How can you place your games across the globe in a best shape and format? So localization is one important point, but also what we use is automated UA solutions to find sweet spots also in emerging markets. On Asia, we've seen quite strong results in Japan and also China, but I mean that doesn't go without localization, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Like, in order to scale games effectively worldwide, you want to make sure that you have, like, a lot of publishers have these systems in place to enable you to get the best performance out of every country that you're scaling in, right? And that includes things like localization and culturalization. And like throughout 2020 and 2021, we've been able to set up our Beijing studio as well, who were like working with UA experts there on the ground to kind of support those efforts of scaling games worldwide.
Yeah, I think definitely it seems like the hyper casual games are easier to kind of translate to different markets than for let's say core games, because it's different mechanics, different monetization, different economy in the game, so it's a bit more challenging. But definitely, especially Japan market seems to be quite receptive to hyper casual games. Yeah, so I guess we touched upon this one already, kind of going into 2021, Q1 behind us. What are the key trends that you guys are seeing in the hyper casual space? Jake, we can start with you.
So I think there are new ways of working with developers is one big thing. So working with developers in the very early stages, like we've seen that transition from the traditional publishing path of, okay, I'm a developer, I've got this game, let's test it. If it works well, then we'll move forward. Like publishers getting involved in the early stages and being able to provide not only like market intelligence and insight on what the next kind of big thing could be, but giving direction in terms of the execution of that and how to effectively create a game that has the best possible chance. So being able to share that expertise in early stage is quite exciting. And in addition to that, like further down that funnel, seeing games that are more than these kind of what people typically termed as simple games for hyper casual, like with more depth and with more mechanical components, but still something that's really easy to understand, accessible for as many people as possible, and lends itself quite well to being scaled worldwide because it's so easy to understand.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as Jake stated previously very well, the competition also drives success and also the new areas. Well, what we can observe right now is games are getting more sophisticated, at least in the visual part, while keeping the core mechanic quite easy. We're seeing a lot of animation additions to the games, especially the current trends on the runner games, from cosmetic beauty now to body transformation. It allows players, enjoying the visuals by playing a easy and understandable and enjoyable core mechanic.
Yeah, so basically, looking at some of the gameplay, like themes and things like that, as we saw according to our data, the runner game seems to be the mechanic that is kind of hot right now. So do you guys see things like that? It's more like something takes off and everyone tries to play in that space, or how does that usually work?
I think runners are a super interesting space because they're like, it's a very recognizable and easy to understand concept, right? You're getting from A to B, but the thing that drives runners is the concept itself needs to be really innovative, and the game needs to feel great. Like with all hyper casual games, it needs to feel great. And I think the thing, as I mentioned when we were chatting before, like animation being a big part of that, and I think there's definitely a trend where we're seeing more animation heavy games that are leaning into making things feel and look great, and connecting like what you're playing with, that input that you're making, with what's happening in the game world and the animation and how it's responding to what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, there is always big turbulence around the successful games. I mean, people are, of course, trying to imitate some parts or maybe even fully, but I'm hoping. I mean, it's a curse and also it's a promise for the future at the same time. So that also increases competition, drives you to get the best out of your developer pool, out of your own resources, and have a unique selling point, which is supposed to be better than the others.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I guess just to touch on we touched really lightly, but the hot topic of past 12 months, I guess, the post IDFA kind of reality, and how has that impacted Coda or Quali? So I don't know if Jake, you want to start, and then
yeah, of course. So far, adoption rates for iOS 14.5 are still relatively low. They're around 15 to 20%. So I think as that grows, we'll start to see more of an impact, but there hasn't been a huge impact at the moment. I mean, the impact is always going to be like the tracking isn't as effective as it could be. There's a big risk there, but it's kind of, we're still in this kind of uncertain phase of like how bad is it going to be? Is it going to be that bad? But I think like ad networks and partners that we're working with, like everybody is looking at new ways of working that help to continue to support the industry. I think there's still a bright future ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our data basically also confirms what Jake just said. So adoption rates are still small, but some strategy changes are on the table, though. I mean, maybe rolling out more products on the Android side.
Yeah.
Also, that goes in hand with quality of your builds on the development side as well, because iOS build is not the same as Android. You need to be careful about other specific issues there. So changes also the requirements for game development. But on the monetization end, I think we are quite stable at the moment. So still seeing high eCPMs. I mean, basically the industry is shifting a lot more into advanced bidding, header bidding solutions anyway. So they will be optimized on the back end already. But the UA strategy will be interesting with increasing adoption rates.
Yeah, so basically you guys are anticipating that the bigger impact will be on the UA side rather than monetization side.
Yeah, I think hyper casual as a, I want to say genre, but it kind of spans genres. Hyper casual as a genre is in one of the best places for like a post IDFA world, because in the early stages when you're trying to assess whether this game is marketable, you're opening it up to as many people as possible, and ultimately you don't need targeting in order to do that. You just want to see whether this concept with this gameplay is something that is engaging to people, is something that people want to play and they're excited about playing, and I think you can still get those results.
Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, monetization and UA, that separation doesn't really apply in the full circle of the finances. It's just two sides of the same coin. So basically, UA spent is monetization gain, more or less, with in-app purchase being on a low percentage in hyper casual market. But I fully agree with Jake. I think this industry has become this big because we were able to overcome challenges, and this is just one of them.
Yeah, definitely. It would be interesting to see how the games will be adjusted, or what type of new monetization mechanics. Obviously, there's the talks about these hybrid casual games now kind of emerging in the market, on the scene. So maybe that could be the answer to the changes. So yeah, let's I guess time will tell us, right? So we're still in the early phase of this. moving on, like it's always, from my perspective, it's always interesting to see like basically what are the market challenges that different publishers face. So yeah, so if we could start from like from Coda's perspective, what are the challenges that you guys see right now, and what's your plans moving forward?
Yeah, so one basic challenge is, of course, getting the success with the tools and with the pool you got as resources. So we are continuously looking forward to meet up with strong partners, strong developers. On the other hand, for us also, futuristic plans, but also challenges always at the same time. We want to automate ideation, we want to automate testing, and also late stage UA operations. We're on a quite good pace on that front, but these will be our main focuses. We will invest a lot more in quality than quantity, and also hope to see results in short term.
Cool.
I think that's a good focus, like that. The focus on quality and focusing on working closely with developers from ideation through to launch is like essential to hyper casual success. Really working closely, and when you can see that there's something that has strong potential and there's ways of iterating and improving on that idea in order to make it effective, it's worth investing some of that time. And the tricky balance is always going to be balancing your time and development input on the next iteration, to make sure that you're not spending so much time like essentially hitting against the same thing and not really doing anything with it, when you could have spent that same amount of time working on 5 new ideas, one of which lands straight away or with a few tweaks.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously, again, the outlook of 2021 is pretty positive. There's more downloads, more consumer spend, etc., etc. So what are the kind of the main objectives for this year, guys? And tell the people that are listening to us what you guys are focusing on. And yeah, if we can start with you, Jake, and we can continue those. And
yeah, of course. So Quali is continuing to grow. We have a PC and console publishing team now. We're working with a few developers on casual games and looking into that space a little bit, with a massive focus still on hyper casual. And in the next week or so, we'll be launching a couple of new and exciting tools. Well, one's a tool, one is a challenge. So one is our hyper casual heroes challenge, where we'll invite developers to work with us and get some direct coaching to test and take games through the publishing process, with some rewards for that. As well as that, we're pretty much ready to launch our publishing platform that enables developers to kind of test their own games, and we can then provide insight and feedback from the results of those tests, and at the point of submission, provide some of our comments and input to give every game the best possible chance.
Cool. What about on Coda side, Ozan?
Well, I would say the platform idea is a great one, because we have one already. That's basically still remains our focus. Through our platform, we also offer ideation tools. Testing, automated testing is already enabled. And what is important for us is the industry needs to gain more on transparency. And this is what we're offering to our partners, so that developers can track what is happening with their builds, on what stage and what is the next stage, what kind of metrics they are seeing, and what is the goal actually. And then throughout this funnel, we do offer a personal publishing manager support, obviously, but the platform takes care of the all automated stuff, like testing and offering them ideas. And this will be our main focus. Also, to get to the in a more comfortable phase, we are obviously always looking for new partners around the globe. So BD efforts won't stop either.
Yeah. So yeah, to wrap this up, obviously, as mentioned, both Jake and Ozan are managing the publishing side of the businesses. So if you guys are game developers, reach out to reach out to these guys. I'm sure they're happy to take your emails and speak with you and see if you can work together. Well, thank you guys very much for taking your time to join today's session. I hope it was fun for you as it was for us. So yeah, thank you very much, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Cheers,
See you
guys.
soon.
Thank you.